Hi everybody, how are you? I hope you're doing well. Hope you're having a blessed day. So I have a word for you guys today. Hopefully it doesn't take too long. I'm in line to pick up my son. So hopefully it doesn't get like interrupted or the line starts moving and I have to go. I knew this morning God was like, there's gonna be a video today, and I was like, okay, video today, got it. And then when I was going through my journals and to see what he wanted me to share, like nothing, like he wasn't highlighting anything. So then I was like, God, like I'm not crazy. I know you said video today. Like what do you want to talk about? Like what do you want to share or want me to share? Wow. The clouds, oh my gosh, he's been using the clouds a lot. I just saw Mexico in the clouds and now I'm seeing it again. So I don't know, pray for Mexico. So then he downloaded this story from the Bible, of course. It's in 1 Kings chapter 1 and 2. So I reread it, right? I already knew this story. I'd read it before, but I was like, let me reread it. And he was just like highlighting things and points and things. So I was like, wow, oh my gosh, this word, it's okay. It's kingdom spouse, but it can apply to other things. It can apply to other things. So right away, there's drama going on. As soon as you start reading chapter 1 in 1 Kings, there's drama. Okay, drama is going on. So this is what's happening. I am going to encourage you guys to go read for yourselves. So I'm just going to touch on what the Lord is saying through all this. Okay. And so King David is old already. He's on his deathbed, basically on his deathbed, right? And his family, his sons, everybody pretty much knows it's the end, right? Like he's dying of old age. And so one of his sons, and please guys excuse me with the names, because I really don't know how to say this. Adonisia, I'm not sure how to say it. But his son Adonisia, he took it upon himself to be king. He was just like, did what he felt like, I guess. Felt he was above authority. I mean, I don't know what leads people to do these kinds of things. He just was like, I'm gonna be king. I'm king. And so he had a coronation feast and invited everybody except a few people. So there was this celebration, coronation, that he's king. And so then Bathsheba, one of David's wives, mother of Solomon, goes into the king's presence, King David, and tells him like, hey, like Adonisia is doing all these things, and you had promised me that our son Solomon would be king. Like, can you explain like what? Like she was basically like informing him, but yet also seeking answers at the same time. And while she's there telling King David this, they announced the prophet Nathan. And so she exits, and then Nathan walks in and basically repeats exactly what Bathsheba just told David. So basically, he goes in to confirm what Bathsheba just said is happening and what's going on. And so Nathan goes on to say, Adonisia is doing this, and he didn't invite me. He didn't invite the priest. He didn't invite Solomon. And obviously, these are God's people, right? And as we have read in the past, when a king was chosen, the king was announced by a prophet and anointed by a prophet. And so none of this was taking place. So you could tell right away that God was not involved. They did not include God in whatever Adonisia was doing. Okay, they excluded God's people. They excluded the prophet. They excluded the priest. They excluded Solomon, who was actually the chosen one. Okay, they excluded all of that. And so then Bathsheba comes back in, and David restated his promise to her that Solomon would be king. And then he gives instruction to Nathan, the prophet, and he tells him, like, put him on the royal mule, go anoint him and sound the shofar, like doing everything the way God, like including God, the way God, back then, like, you know, it was like tradition to do it. That's how Saul got anointed king. That's how David got anointed king. And so the next king after David, of course, wouldn't be any different. And so they get Solomon, the prophet, and the priest, and they do this. They anoint Solomon, and they sound the trumpets. And once those trumpets sound, oh my gosh, another Mexico. Like, wow. I want to take a picture, but I'm recording. Okay. Pray for Mexico. I don't know. Pray for Mexico. What was I saying? Okay, so then they hear the trumpets, right? Adonisia and the people who were supporting him, and then they kind of freak out at this point, and they're like, what's going on? Something's happening, right? Because they heard the shofars. And that's a really pretty, it's like perfect. I really want to take a picture of it, but I can't. Oh. They hear the shofars, and they're like, oh, we're in trouble, basically, right? And then they basically tell him, like, he flees. He knows he's in trouble. He knows. And so when Solomon is on the throne, they tell him to go see him, and he's like, Solomon's gonna kill me. He's gonna kill me. But then Solomon was like, if there's evil in his heart, I will kill him, but if not, like, you know, I'll spare him. And so Adonisia goes before Solomon, and Solomon is just like, just go home, you know, just go home. And so what God is saying through all this is that the counterfeits are being removed. All the counterfeits who assumed a position that God never intended for them to have, they're being removed. And their removal is going to be made clear the moment that the ones who God chose take their place. That's going to be like their final, like, I think that's what they need to see. That's what they need to finally grasp, you know. Everything they have done has been without God. Everything they have done has been without God, God was not included in that. It was not God's choice. It was not God's doing, right? And so that's what God is saying he's doing. And one thing that I didn't mention, but it is written, that once David found out what was going on, and Nathan and Bathsheba told him, and they're like, what are you going to do? Everybody's waiting for you to do something. Like, who's going to be king? And David took action. David took action, and he said, this is going to get settled. This is going to be cleared up today. And so he did. He gave the orders for Solomon to be anointed and announced as king. And so this switch is going to happen really quickly, because once God stepped in, order has to take place. Order has to happen, because God is a God of order. So once God steps in, it's like everything assumes its position, And so if you keep reading, Solomon does give the order for Adonisia to be killed, and the people that helped him get exiled. So there is going to be judgment. There is going to be a punishment for the counterfeits, because they knew that what they were doing was not from God. They knew that what they were doing, it was just their own wants. It was their own leading. It was never God, and they knew that. And yeah, so this is what God is doing in this hour today. Counterfeits are being removed, and the rightful people that God has chosen for whatever position is going to be given to God's chosen. And that's why I say this can apply to other things. This could apply to some of you in the workplace. This could apply to several things. God is highlighting kingdom spouses, kingdom marriages. But this could apply to other things. Of course, always take everything back to the Lord and have him confirm for you. But yeah, this is happening, and God takes it seriously when things are done to interfere with his purpose, and then God's not included, God's not in it, and it's chaos and confusion, because the people were following Adonisia. They were misleading people. And if one thing that God really doesn't like is for his people to be misled. It's I don't know. I could go on about fearing God and God's character. That's something that I have intimately come to know through every season, through every process. I get to know a different side of God. I've learned not to box him in. Every season, my fear of the Lord just grows even more. My reverence, my respects, because I'm like, whoa, you could get to a place where you're like, oh, I know God, I know him. And then next season, it's like, whoa, like, you are never done knowing God. Like, he's just too great, And so I'm always baffled and taken aback when people don't fear God. I'm like, I'm scared for you. Like, yeah, like it's oh, like I could like, oh, like I don't know. I'm like, how can people not have that reverence, that fear for God? And it's not like a scared, although you could very easily be scared by God because he's like holy and pure and we are not, right? Even with the Holy Spirit, we don't, like, it's just, he's just too like, whoa, but yeah, God is putting things in order. God is putting things in order. Whatever you thought you lost, you're getting back. God's chosen. God's chosen. Whatever you thought you lost, whatever was taken from you, and God said it's yours, you're getting it back quick. And the people who had anything to do that interfered with God's plans and God's will, there's gonna be judgment. There's gonna be judgment. I also want to talk about this was so sweet. The beginning of chapter 2 in First Kings. So once after all this drama happens and everything is in order, right? And Solomon is king, and Adonisia, they send him home. David is pretty much dying, and he meets with Solomon, and he gives Solomon his blessing. And as I read this, like, I could not help but just feel the heart of God, because this is a father speaking to his son right before send-off, and so I want to encourage you guys to go and read it for yourselves. Take it as like an intimate meeting with your father, your heavenly father, and him just blessing you as you enter this next season, as you enter this next phase in your life. He's giving you his blessing. He's giving, oh wow, that's anointed. He's giving you his blessing. Your father has given you, oh my gosh, his blessing. I don't know, that's, wow, that's anointed. I can't stop saying it. He's giving you his blessing. Okay. Yeah, so go read it. It's that is First Kings chapter 2. It's just so sweet. It's father and son, and yeah, and if you keep reading, then it just goes on to say when Solomon gave the order to have Adonisia killed, and then the people that helped him are exiled. So go read it. So yeah, so that's the word. I hope this blessed you. I hope you have a good rest of your day, and please be sure to take everything back to God. Bye guys.